a cohesive team. I thought that was a unicorn, a bit of an illusion.
Confusion is ugly, undermines teamwork and cohesion and kindness by its nature.
My first kick of the cat, if that's the phrase,
kick of the can.
was
Yeah, I hope you don't
can.
kick the cat. Don't kick the cat. We're animal lovers.
Welcome to the Serious Playfulness podcast, where we explore the work of building healthy, mission-driven organizations that don't suck the life out of you. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Stephanie. And if you secretly dream of a workplace that you actually want to go to, then you're in the right place. Let's get to work.
I am speaking today with my colleague Stephanie about sales and about things we are learning and experiencing in trying to do sales. And I'll start off, Steph, with a theory I have that sales is sometimes a dirty word. It's sometimes perceived as something that only involves slickness or trickiness or manipulation or pushiness or self-servingness. And those things can be true, but I'm a firm believer in the fact that if what you offer is good and you were trying to sell it, that is a noble thing to do. It's very difficult, though. It's not for the faint of heart, but because of that, there's a great opportunity for people who can persevere in doing it. My dad is a salesman. He's always been someone who had to find clients, and it's been part of his work. He's never really had a typical salary in his professional life. And so the context in which I grew up in, and for me, I worked in salaried work for many years and then moved into consulting and then had to find clients. And with God's help, I've, praise God, done well and had a lot of experience trying to sell, learning and doing things and making mistakes. And it's been an interesting adventure. And it's fun to talk to you because this is a new thing for you. Talk to me, Steph, about what you're doing right now and how it's going.
Yeah, I am looking for incredible clients. And so in a sense, I'm using the four-letter word sales. And I was nervous about that.
Which is 5, by the way.
Sell.
Sale. Yes.
And I was nervous about the idea because it's new to me. And I had to shake off some yucky feelings about that, as you described, the sense of feeling a bit icky about that. What helped is a mindset shift. I was on the receiving end. I was the client. And I was so relieved that someone was offering me a solution and who understood the agony that I was going through and could see a way forward. I didn't know that. And so I'm recalling that relief and benefit. I see that your work with me as a client a number of years ago was an act of service, and that was very helpful. And that's the mindset that I'm approaching this with, is there are people out there that are struggling like I was, and I just need to find them. Not to mention, what I think is also really fun is I'm actually scouring the web in my network for incredible companies that I want to serve. That in the Myers-Briggs, I'm an ENFP, so I'm lots of different variety. And this is my secret way of contributing to all these great missions without being in operations of all these great missions.
Yes.
And that is really cool. That's getting me very excited. And over that hurdle of an awkward introduction is I'm just really excited at the idea.
Yes. Beautiful. I've sometimes thought about that position of consultant as like an uncle. Without the connotation that an uncle has no actual responsibility, because we're trying to really help you and equip you versus just coming and playing with the kids and then leaving. At the same time, there's something to it. Or a grandparent. You don't have to carry the whole thing. You can come alongside of and provide support and assistance and tools, which is a pretty beautiful thing. Meanwhile, having obviously compassion for the burden of the person that has to actually run the stuff that you are accompanying. It's fun to observe you trying this. I know when we talked a few months back, we didn't foresee you having to do this. Now it's happening, and that's a bit of a plot twist, but we embrace it. And it's wonderful that you're finding it enjoyable and inspiring. And I think that's so much of it's mindset, like you said. A lot of people can get discouraged in sales and they can get no's and they give up too easily. And maybe we can press into that, what it's like getting no's. I remember listening to this talk, and you mentioned a talk that maybe is the same one, but there was this guy who decided to intentionally go out and get rejected. Who I think he was a Chinese American student. Is this the same thing you were looking at?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fascinating, right? And he said, I'm just going to go out and pursue X number of no's by asking outlandish questions of people. And you can watch him doing this. He goes to a Krispy Kreme donut place and asks them to make an Olympic rings donut thing. And they actually said yes. I think gave it to him for free. He went to some house and asked a lady, "Can I plant a daffodil in your backyard?" And she says, "No." But then he asked a follow-up question. He said, "May I ask why?" And she said, "Oh, it's because the dog might dig it up, not because it's an inherently terrible idea." So the lesson there is don't assume what you might assume about the no itself and don't give
Mm.
up. Because I think she said, "But you could ask my neighbor, Julie. I think she would love to have a daffodil in her backyard."
Wow.
And I think in terms of character and virtue, what's at the heart of this is humility and realizing, like you say, you're trying to find chances, opportunities for people to help. And there's nobility in that. And we're not going to push ourselves. We know that we're not what everyone needs or wants, and that's totally fine. And that encourages humility too. But we're going to keep going and keep looking.
Yes, I love that concept of seeking out the no's. And it's something my husband and I were just talking about over the weekend. He too is in sales capacity, newly entered into that role. And we collectively have decided to get 1,000 no's in our work. And all of a sudden, this becomes more interesting and fun. A no is actually aiming its success towards a goal of mine now. So not
Yes.
only in X number of new clients, but X number of new no's. This is either way, I'm going to win in this conversation towards one of
Yes.
my goals.
Yes.
What also I think is neat about this principle of getting no's is how tempting it is for people to say maybe when they actually mean no. And just leaning into that or helping them navigate, are you a yes or are you no? Because the maybe is perhaps riddled with some social niceties and instead of a no is helpful, then I can just move on and we're not wasting each other's time. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been fun. And
Yes.
yeah, so I'm 1,000 no's. That's the goal. Yeah.
That's amazing. So what is that that's 20 per week, roughly.
I
So that therefore is 4 per day.
yeah.
Although this is shared with your husband, right? So we'll call it 2 per day for each of you.
Yes. So we've said 4 prospects a day. And then some we want yeses, so we'll aim high. Yeah.
Now let's go back to you mentioned the operations part, how in this particular kind of consulting, you don't have to be in the operations doing the organization because that's not what we do. That's what our clients do. Now you personality wise do not love the tracking, the tasks and finishing things, the tenacity type of work. It's not your sweet spot. I'm curious to know about, though, to do 1,000 no's, you have to track a lot of things because you may forget about who you contacted and when you said you'd follow up and what you've promised. So, can you talk about that a little bit? How's that going?
Yes, I think at least at this level, this early stage, my motivation is still high, and therefore I'm able to do the tenacity work and
Yes.
track it. And I just created a really simple Excel sheet. I've got names, when did I contact them, by what method, what's the status. And then each morning I go in and I look at that list and I think, who do I want to contact today? Which allows me a little dose of spontaneity because I can think, yeah, I really want to go talk to John today. And so
Yes.
I will do that. And yeah, I just highlight who has to be approached today and who needs to have some kind of follow-up today. And I'm so far able to do that tenacity work of keeping an Excel document up to date, which is not always my strength.
Yes.
But yeah, it's working so far.
A little tip would be to, after every call or meeting, update it.
Yes.
Don't let that slide because then you forget stuff and it's less useful.
Yes, that is very helpful. And I've already been noticing that if I don't do that, then the next day I had to check an email. Did I send that out? And I could see that, no, it's sitting in my draft still or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Let's talk about how do you think you could be tempted to get discouraged, and how can you prevent that?
If I take it personally, I would get discouraged that, yeah, someone saying no to the work that we do and that our desire to help, or if it's the right fit at this time, I really have to stay detached from that. I think that's going to be important to have just a renewed energy and tenacity. I think that's probably going to be the biggest one. I can see it becoming a personal, yeah, taking it personally. Yeah.
So there's a self-talk management there
Yeah.
that you'll need to cultivate.
How
Just
about you?
because,
You've done this for a long time. How do you keep doing it?
well, as I've shared with you, I've had a stretch of quite a long time where I've had so much work and renewed work with current clients that I've not had to do it a lot. And now we're in a new mode where we have to, and it's good. It's a good challenge. I think similar to you, it's just to keep reminding yourself that it's not you. It's not a fit for them right now. And to keep reminding yourself that you're doing it for other people actually, as well as your financial needs and what you have to do to make things work on your side. And that gives a beauty and a nobility to the work that helps with motivation for sure. Let's talk about in our last couple minutes about some practical approaches that we are trying, things that maybe have worked, haven't worked. I've shared with you how historically I've relied mostly on asking people for introductions.
Mm.
Some of my clients I might be bugging too much asking for introductions, but I take that risk sometimes. Hope they don't mind. Because that currency of relationship and trust is so valuable and so hard to replicate. And because you're newer at this, you have less of those threads and you're doing things a little more cold fashion. I think both have their merits. Tell me about what the colder approach has been like in your efforts at that so far.
I'm actually loving the cold approach even more so than the networked intros. And I think the reason why, and I said it earlier in the podcast, is I'm I'm looking for clients I want to work with that are doing really great, badass culture war kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, can I support you? I want to support your mission. And that's created a really neat motive when I go to approach them. And so my language too has been admitting this is a what do I have to lose inquiry. And
Yes.
I've been saying it like that. What do I have to lose inquiry? Here's why I'm reaching out. I think you have an incredible mission and I want organizations like yours to thrive.
Yes.
And so here's the other weird part about this is going to usually a very kind of low level person in the organization because that's the emails that are public, right? Inquire at office.
Yes.
And so I'm writing it to them. I'm writing it to the person who is not the leader and saying, this is my big, what do I have to lose question? Can you forward my inquiry onto someone in leadership or your head guy? Because I want to know if I can be of service to you and we'll see. But I've been loving that cold approach because I'm so excited at the idea, even if it's far off, that I might be able to help really great missions do their mission even better.
Yes. Remembering the why and the potential of the discomfort of the awkward, maybe cold effort is essential. We should wrap up there. So to sum up a few things, we've talked about how the mindset and the motive is fundamental. It's where we started and where we began. That I think why sales can be noble is because you believe that what you do can be a great help to other people, and that helps you stay encouraged to aggressively pursue no's and not be put off by them. Aggressive is maybe the wrong word, not in a pushy sense, but to boldly pursue no's.
Bold, yeah.
And to artfully secure them when it maybe seems like a maybe, so that you know if you can move on or not. Some maybes are valid. They might say maybe in 3 months. Some aren't.
Yeah.
And there's probably an art there to discern the difference. And the difference between asking for intros and cold invitations, and both have their merits. It's fun to hear that you are enjoying the coldness.
Yeah. Who would have guessed? Yeah.
So all the best to you, Stephanie, and look forward to seeing you as you pursue those 1,000 no's.
Thank you.